Tutter.
All right. I think we should get started since we're doing these in 45-minute sessions. As usual, Emma and I did not decide who is doing what slide. So here we go. It's on your end, Emma. I can't see it, but I guess I can if I opened up the room.
I'll
Okay.
move us forward so you can
That's
just
all right.
let me know if you want me to stop or go. Well, to start off, I know we've met each other a little bit, but I didn't add a slide about where are you calling in from. So feel free to say who you are and where you're calling in from in the chat as well. But
Or
as
go
I,
to the ambassador directory and search each other and you'll see where everyone's calling in from.
we can all be very creepy and locate
Yes.
each other. Hopefully not. Well, since the topic is about CSM, then in that case, you can also just add in your thoughts to this. You don't have to tell us a lot of stuff. We just want to know how you're feeling about it. So a word, you're feeling great. Maybe an emoji instead of a word if you're feeling like you just need to do like a face. That works too. If you're like, I don't know how to do any of those things, there's also a button for reactions at the bottom of your screen for Zoom that'll let you do, or at least I think there is. Is there for you? Reactions?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not showing up on mine. So if you do have reactions, feel free to use that as your emoji, or you can write it in chat as well. But up to you. If you need a reminder too of how Mentimeter works, I'll drop the link in the chat, and you can use that QR code on the screen. Ah, Michael's a smiley face. Good. Thank you, Michael Lewis. All right, Oh, yay!
Upside down smiley face. Is that a good thing?
I love that emoji. It means positive, but not ready, in my opinion. Oh, here's our
Oh,
chat too. Or
Steven, not getting traction from our local library. I've heard that from a couple of people.
mm,
So we can talk about strategies for that.
definitely. Got my bulletin put together. Nice. Hello, Erin. Nice. Any other thoughts? I see hopeful and I see upside down smiley face still. Excited. Okay, yay. Sweet. Good things happening. We'll wait for
Excited,
a few more
hopeful.
options.
Still
Just a heads
working
up
on it.
too, this is a meeting, so your audio is able to be used. I'll mute you if I hear things unnecessarily, but just make sure you're muted.
I just muted everybody
Oh, okay.
preemptively, but they
Cool.
can unmute themselves
Cool, cool.
if they
Excellent.
want to chat. Um, Lynn reached out to 3 participating libraries and have not received a response.
Hmm. 3%. Oh, libraries within the network. Or
Hmm. Or maybe not within the network.
3 participating libraries near me? I would assume those are
Maybe yes. So maybe in the network. Sorry, I missed the participating.
yeah, within the network. Steam library in it. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and we do have some library folks on the call too that might provide some insight into the best ways of reaching cold calling libraries. So they might be able to share advice as well. And then we can also think about other things that you can do that don't necessarily require a community partner for this
Mhm.
April.
Yeah, definitely. I love the word progressing. Whoever wrote that one in, thank you for adding that in because it's the idea is we're not trying to tell you you had to be done at a certain point, but I mean April's the goal, and so the fact that you're moving forward on everything, that's the most we can really hope for right now, especially in March still.
Exactly. And
Okay.
Kathy in the chat said still working on it too. And just as a reminder, like our hope is that you do something in April. That's sort of like the goals of this program that we defined. But also we're learning together about what this program, like what are the opportunities and barriers being an ambassador. So the challenges that you're having are incredibly important for us to know, and we appreciate all of that as well. Nothing is a failure right now. We are absolutely in a learning phase.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move us forward for sake of time. If you have other thoughts and like words you want to mention, feel free to drop them in the chat in the meantime. Okay, Tara, over to you.
Yeah. So our agenda today, we're gonna just quickly cover what is Citizen Science Month, although you should all know what that is. And then talk about some of the resources that Emma has been working hard on. We have a new website that we're gonna debut and show you, and then talk about, some of those expectations, including how to add your events and tag the correct tags. So some high level, some nitty gritty in the next 37 minutes, or yeah,
Oh,
38
whoops.
minutes. I know we're okay. Also, as a reminder, this is part of this series that we're doing called Beyond the BioBlitz and the Ambassador Insight series. So this one's not focused on a specific project. The Beyond the BioBlitz ones will be focused on a specific project or projects that are not related to BioBlitz, so that we can expand your knowledge. But this one, it really is about citizen insights into Citizen Science Month. And the goal of these is to be informal, interactive, connect with us. We'll be bringing experts like we did for the Cocoa Raz webinar, and also really sharing knowledge with each other, exchanging ideas and feedback. So this is as much for you as it is for us. Okay, Emma, Citizen Science Month and 1 million acts.
Yes. So as you all hopefully know at this point, since you've heard it a bunch of times, this is April. Citizen Science Month is all of April. It's an excuse to party it up for an entire month, citizen science style. So it's meant to be a celebration of the community and citizen science activities that you do, and featuring all kinds of events and programs and projects, all of the above. Hosted by you all, hosted by library specifically, hosted by us as SciStarter, etc. So it's a big month-long excuse to have a celebration about what we love to do. And because of that, um, we wanted to ask too, for those of you who have done Citizen Science Month programs in the past, so thinking back to last April, because I know a few of you were along for the ride last year as well, or if you've done other events in the recent past too, as a new ambassador, if you've done something, feel free to just drop a line either in the chat or Menti. I'll put the QR code back up and add this to the chat. Think about those examples of things that you have done with folks in the past, because those are really a big part of why we do these events, is to be able, or these workshops, is to be able to talk to each other. And so if you have ideas that you've done, even if it's like, it's just a simple thing, those are the things that we need to be able to talk to each other about and give examples of. And so if you have thoughts, you might want to drop into the chat though. I'm going to move us forward. So if you are a past facilitator, write into the chat what your activities have been in the past. Thank you, Kathy. Awesome. So dark skies, solar eclipse. Yeah, a bunch of folks were involved in the solar eclipse, and that's why we grabbed you. So thank you. Welcome to the team. Kit added stall catchers, ant picnic, icy tree. Awesome. Just did a big backyard bird count. Big sit with the library in Cedar Hill. Nice. Astronomy related events, absolutely. Cocoa Roz brochures to local libraries to get more involvement. Awesome, Marcia. Sweet. Women Access Science drop-in floor program, teaching museum visitors how to use Seek and iNaturalist in our museum's outdoor space. Awesome. Okay, these are great examples. Yeah, keep them coming if you think of what you've done in the past.
I
And as
love
you
this.
all
It's a
know,
mix of, oh, sorry, I was going
yeah,
to say it's a mix of programming, like, hosting an event of some kind, but it's also um distributing materials in some way. So it doesn't have to be active programming. You can find some passive ways to do citizen science during Citizen Science Month. But yeah,
cool.
these are really great examples.
Yeah. I'm glad so many of you have done other ones too, because it's not as if we're asking you to leap to a way
Reinvent.
bigger
Right.
project. These are all they very much count. Also, I've had very limited sleep for travel, so I apologize for words being minced right now. And these are great examples. City Nature Challenge organizer, we need hosts, citizen science kits. Yeah, literally just using the kits at the library and promoting them. That's a program in itself.
Mhm.
All right, and so as you also know, this is during April a goal to get to 1 million acts of science by the end of April. We also hope to get to it before the City Nature Challenge, so we can kind of pass the baton on for the City Nature Challenge folks. I myself am involved in one of the planning committees, so I would love to be able to say this is all Citizen Science Month focused in getting to that 1 million acts, and then we can all focus in on being a part of CNC as well. So thank you to those of you who are involved. So awesome. All those events to prepare folks and have them practice for it too. Those absolutely count.
Yeah, I was talking to an ambassador yesterday that we were brainstorming ideas. She had made a connection with the Jacksonville Zoo in Florida, and one of the activities that we brainstormed was they're really into frog watch, but need better ways to promote it. So she's going to help develop like a poster that goes in the reptiles exhibit with like a QR code to the website. Um, the Jacksonville Zoo actually has like a community science website, and so if you embed that, you can track like how many clicks to the QR code for that website, right? As your acts of science. So that's just another example of like a way to support an organization without actually having to like host an event or program.
Yeah, definitely. And on the screen too, we have our goals from previous years. Our first and second goal on here, we're really at the forefront of things, building that awareness and participation in citizen science. Of course, that's always our goal. We also want to increase capacity of facilitators, which is why we are working with you all as ambassadors to learn how to be facilitators and build that group of people who are more comfortable talking about these things. And then our third one being amplifying the outcomes. And so I'm bringing this up now as you're thinking about your planning for Citizen Science Month. When you start going into programs and I don't know, distributing materials or having conversations, a big part of citizen science is also that they're impacting, or a main part of it is that they're impacting real research. And so if you can start asking yourself the question of like, okay, what is this actually accomplishing? Whether it's just for your community, like, oh, I have the air quality monitoring kit through a citizen science or a citizen science kit at the library, and I'm going to do a program about that. Those outcomes could literally just be showing the measurements that were taken outside. So being able to report back to these folks is important. So we can express the importance of being a part of these events. I have an example here from the Chesapeake Water Watch team. They have essentially their excuse me, they're a water quality monitoring project. And so we asked a bunch of project leaders what the impact was. What do you do with citizen science data? And Ray gave us this lovely quote of, it's the bulk of the project's data. It would not exist without citizen scientists. That's the only reason they've been able to create more accessible water monitoring tools, and are in the process of advancing the use of remote sensing satellite technology because they're able to locate various areas of where there's need, because they have volunteers doing that in-person work. So just keep in mind, it's impactful beyond that community engagement aspect. It's also about accelerating that research, accelerating the knowledge in the community. And so as you plan, also make sure you're considering that. In addition to all these goals, though, we know you all came in with goals for your own communities. So if you remember what one of those goals might be and you want to make sure to keep that in your brain, I want to make sure those are at the top of mind for us as well. I'll drop the Menti uh, link in the chat one more time and put the QR code back up. Did any of you have specific goals that you were walking into Citizen Science Month with? Things you really wanted to make sure your community did or accomplished during this time? Any thoughts there? Also, feel free to unmute and tell us too. It might be quicker. Yeah, Darren.
I just wanted to give young people and older people as well, mostly young people, a chance to just see what citizen science is. We have our LA STEM Maker Fair, which is happening there, which is it's called City of STEM, where all the STEM organizations come there, and it's usually like drones and robots and stuff like that. So I'm going to be doing some air quality and some soil testing. So the kids can just see it right there. And then we have a couple of events with school districts where they ask us to come to their STEM Fest. And so just exposing people put to it. One of the things that I'm hoping will happen is by grounding young people in, the world that's right around, or in the military, they say their 3-foot world. It'll sort of take some of the noise away from all that's happening in the country. Like, if you're talking about squirrels, you're not thinking about, what's going on in DC. If you're looking at cumulus clouds, you're not thinking about other stuff. So I just want to ground them in the reality of, today, right now, what's in front of you, your 3-foot world. And I think citizen science is an incredible way to do it. We actually call it neighborhood science here because of the implications of citizen on some of our populations here in the greater Los Angeles area. But we're partnering with the library, we're partnering with a bunch of different organizations, and it's just to connect folks with nature, and because nature wins in every fight anyway, so you might as well be on
As
that
we've
side.
seen, unfortunately, in
Yeah. Yeah, especially seeing here,
your
like nature wins, so you might as well
yeah.
be on nature's side. So that's what we're doing. That's what I'm excited about.
That's great. Yeah, Vivian Bird does such amazing work at the library too, and so that's awesome.
Yeah, and we're also part of the CNC, the county nature challenge or whatever that
Yeah,
is with
city
the natural
nitrogen.
history. Yeah, so we're doing that with the Natural History Museum as well. So that a lot of that is going to be there. So what we're just trying to do is just kind of ground people in things that are just in their neighborhood. Today, sorry, I didn't mean to take up, but one of my staff members came in and it's like, there's a bug on my computer. And so I ran in there with my iNaturalist app, and I was like, so, and so
Yes.
I took a
Sad.
picture, I categorized it for her, I told her what it was, and I took the bug outside. I had to check to make sure it was an outside bug because when people will take a spider outside, the spider's like, no, I'm an inside bug.
Love that.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Destigmatizing bugs.
Oh man, as soon as I
One
see
picture
them,
at a time.
yeah, I go run in there with my app and I'm like,
Yeah.
bug.
Oh my gosh.
This is
And
really good for such and such reasons. Or we have an invasive species problem in here and we need to deal with it.
yeah, don't take that pretty picture of a spotted light lantern bug and then
Right, I know. Yeah. Those were
smash
rough
that thing.
summers. Those were some
Yeah,
rough summers around here.
that does give me a little bit. I was in Baltimore and there were a bunch of them there,
Oh, they're so bad around here.
and I put it on the app and in the iNaturals it said kill it, and I was like,
Kill
oh,
it.
Yep. No, there
kill
was a
it.
campaign. There was a campaign in Philly, Kill the Lightning Bug.
Yeah.
Oh my
Very,
God, that was terrible. I
it
felt
was
so
Wow.
bad.
bad, but they're invasive, so what are you gonna do?
I mean, talk about
Um,
a fun way to
yeah.
kind of engage people, though. I always found it really funny that Globe, sorry to get off on a tangent. Hopefully, we can circle back anyway. You mentioned a bunch of different things, Darren, that I want to make sure that folks are paying attention to as well. But like, there are some projects like Globe Observer Mosquito Mapper where it's you get to destroy their habitat because we're like, we acknowledge that mosquitoes are a part of the ecosystem and they play a role, but there are too many of them and they do cause diseases and there's issues. And so being able to tell a middle schooler, yeah, go destroy it.
Right.
It's a fun way to make sure that they can stay engaged too. So,
Right.
absolutely. Darren also mentioned commenting on the conversations of like the terminology. Thank you for mentioning neighborhood science. If you want to change words and such, I like that's absolutely allowed. You 100% can change terms. Citizen, community, neighborhood science, whatever fits, or participatory
Crowdsource,
science,
participatory
crowdsource science, all
research.
those things. Yeah, whatever is most applicable to your community that will reach them, that matters, okay? Because we want to make sure that we're opening the door. We're not trying to close the door for anyone.
Yeah,
Now,
Kirsten says
just
we use community science. Yeah.
awesome.
And
Yeah,
I've seen
exactly.
that, Emma. I've actually seen some of the events that have already been posted by ambassadors. They're not all using the same terminology, which is great. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Well, we also have NEAF coming up, and
Yeah.
that's basically going to be a multi-state, multinational event. Northeastern Astronomy Forum and Space Expo. So we're going to have a table there and represent SciStarter,
Nice.
give people an idea about it, and they're lining me up to do a presentation for it as well. Besides doing Dark Sky, I'm now doing the SciStarter presentation, and I think we'll have an okay display there, which will of
Okay.
course include a invasive species, the Jura spider. We'll talk about because it does kind of fit in with the light pollution aspect as well.
Yeah.
You light pollution is actually shrinking spiders' brains under test.
So weird.
So there's always a tie-in somewhere, which I like.
Well, it's all connected,
working in.
right? Like everything is
Yeah.
connected. And I
Yep.
think, yeah.
Well, that's
Speaking
what I
of
generally tell them.
Well, I was gonna say, Jim, speaking of presentations, I just updated the Foundations of Citizen Science slide deck with some, first of all, the logo was wrong from the previous one. It was not our new logo.
Right.
Plus I added some new slides and some new activities, which I will send to all ambassadors next week. Well, they'll be posted online, but you'll have a brand new slide deck and facilitator guide
Right.
to use.
Well, I'm not going to update the display boards I made
That's
because
fine.
I remade them.
Not a problem. But for future use, if anybody is going to do a presentation, we have some new snazzy slides coming your way.
Yeah, and I apologize for moving us forward, but since we only have 45 minutes, I'm going to move us forward quickly. These are great examples. I'm glad you guys are focused on particular audiences too, so awesome goals. Just a quick note, if you haven't already seen it, there is that calendar that I've mentioned a few times in various circumstances. It keeps growing and changing and things keep getting added. So just be aware that it's really nice to have the digital version so that you can go in and check out the things that are on there intermittently too. But if you essentially, when you add your events to SciStarter, they're not going to be added to this calendar. These are like the highlight pieces that are like themes and then the events afterwards, which I'll show you actually on the website very shortly. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page too, thank you for dropping that link in
It
the
didn't work.
chat. We want to make sure that you all understand what it means to have acts of science because you all are responsible for reporting those acts of science after your events. And so when you have a set of attendees doing a project, for example, you are essentially counting how many people are involved because they are attending a citizen science themed event, which is an act of science, and also all their contributions to science. If you have folks who are just if you're doing the training for what is citizen science, the foundations of citizen science, there are 2 projects in there that you can swap out for whatever you want, but their participation in that can absolutely be a part of the count for the reporting of the acts of science. And so it's important to note what counts and what doesn't count. As long as it's learning about or doing citizen science, it works. If you need specificity and you want to check with us on any of those things, feel free to either drop in the chat now or you can email us later about that. Oh, awesome. Good question, Aaron. Aaron, the NASA event that's on here at the very least, that is not canceled. That will still happen. Everything on here is for sure happening,
Right.
if that helps reassure you. For anyone who's in a little bit of a concern for things being canceled, I would just move straight ahead, like assume everything is happening until it doesn't. I
Yeah.
don't think we're going to see lots happen in this case. We're so close to April, I don't think. Yeah, I can't think of anything that's particularly going to
And
be.
also when it comes to projects, I mean, so that is what the beauty of SciStarter is. We are communicating with project scientists all the time. So if projects are sunsetting or funding goes away or things like that, like we will update that on, like those projects won't be available on SciStarter. So right now, if they're on SciStarter, if those projects, like you can promote all of those things. We'll keep an eye on that landscape for sure, and we have been.
Well, I know the moon projects have been sunsetted.
The moon.
Um,
Which are you talking about Moon Diff?
Moon Diff, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually sunsetted like a year ago, or at
Yeah.
least it was like yeah. So that's one of those examples where it was like that was a great project, but then they only had 1 round of funding, so it was actually way before any change.
Right, and there was the second one, I can't remember the name of it.
If you think of
But
it,
they did announce that they're looking at a new citizen science project.
oh yeah, we actually contacted them. Thank you for sending
Oh,
that to us. They,
okay, cool.
I want to say it was Janet. Yeah, we'll figure that out because that'll be a great new project for the moon. So if any of you are looking at observing moon craters, that'll happen.
And
And
for the
speaking of
most
projects,
Yeah, and for the most part, the projects that SciStarter like our sort of affiliate projects and the projects that we're promoting for you all to promote. I mean, there's thousands of projects on SciStarter, but the ones that we're typically, promoting the most are the ones that are ongoing, that need regular data collection, that we know, have longevity, so that you don't run into those issues of like project sunsetting all of a sudden and you have a whole program around a project that no longer exists. So, we're definitely keeping that in mind.
definitely. Speaking of projects, if there are particular projects that you're excited about, I'm going to drop that link of the Menti in the chat again. If you have particular projects you are promoting, I know some of you mentioned a few before, but feel free to drop them in here so we have a record of all the different projects. I know we've heard iNaturalist. I know we've heard Coco Roz was mentioned.
Seek.
Seek, which is through iNaturalist, absolutely. Yeah, Salt Watch.
Oh, Seek is
Someone
the new
mentioned
app for kid, the one for
Seek?
kids.
Yeah, not new, but it is.
Shows
Welcome
you
to
where my brain is.
Welcome to 2025.
Sorry. Emma is the expert on all things, the projects themselves. I'm an
Maybe.
expert on facilitator things.
I've gotten some tricky questions from some of you all though, where I'm like, ooh, what would work there?
Well, that's good. We need to know what to answer. Unistellar, never heard of that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, Unistellar is a set of telescope projects. Jim actually is more familiar with them.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's telescope related projects. There's actually 6 of them now, but it's part of the Unistellar NASA network of telescopes.
Oh, that's great because I'm always talking about doing star parties as a way as a form of engagement around citizen science. So that's a good one to include in a list of projects that you can do during a star party.
Mhm.
I just thought of one that tricked me up. Someone asked me, I want to say it might have been Kathy, asked me about best projects to do to incorporate with a kite building and flying event. And I was like, wow, that sounds awesome. Nothing that's specific to kites exactly, but
Well, wind, is
thinking
there
about,
wind? Is there something
yeah,
with
like
wind?
wind. So I was thinking like icy change, if you can like specify like the wind is particularly strong today, or the wind is weak and we expected it to be better. Anything that's noticing different types of weather changes. And then
Years ago,
globe observer clouds. What was that,
years
Darren?
ago, years ago, it wasn't citizen science, but I did a project with some kids with kites where we set up some sticky paper at a different altitude, and then we did some tests on it when it came back. So we tested for all sorts of things, like using like naturally, like what happens if you mix it with lemon. So we got a chance to
Right.
compare the
Like indicator
atmosphere
test.
at the height of the kite toward what was here, and it was fascinating. Some of the things that well, I'm in LA, so smog is always a thing.
Right.
So it was real easy to get a difference for us. So people who live in better climate, better quality of air climates may not get a difference, but that was one of
I've
the things that we
never
did.
heard of that activity, but I'm
That's awesome.
stealing it for future. If anybody asks me for an innovative STEM activity, that is really cool.
That's awesome. And Kathy's still looking for help with that. So if icy change and globe observer don't pan out, if anyone has any more ideas, feel free to send Kathy a note in the chat. Yeah, they're kind of stretches. So I mean stretches as in like you can make a kite and just say, oh, also, fun fact, what are we using? Wind. Let's talk about air quality.
Right.
It just kind of sometimes it's a stretch and that's okay.
On the other note, lots of these projects, if you go on to the STEM clearinghouse, if you do want to incorporate other STEM activities that are not, that are more hands-on, if you're doing like a, more family-friendly event, I'll put that link in the chat. You can definitely find lots of connections to STEM activities.
That's the StarNet clearinghouse?
Yes, STEM
Okay.
activity clearinghouse. Yeah, I'll put it in the
Nice.
chat. Our
Sweet.
friends over at StarNet have, they've it's sort of like a SciStarter for STEM activities. You can search
Yeah.
based on, age group and
There is actually a kite project.
There is?
Public laboratory balloon and kite mapping.
Oh, is that like for with the risk of going a little offhand, maybe we should talk about this after.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe put it in the
yeah.
chat and see Kathy and let Kathy see, maybe determine if that's age appropriate.
That might be, yeah, it might be like
Might be a little hard for
big things.
that audience, but okay. How to participate. So I think we've talked a lot about the expectations around this. Hopefully you are doing something during Citizen Science Month. We have a media toolkit available for you to post on social media, whether that's from, the organizations that you represent or as an ambassador. Always tag us because then we can amplify your posts. So tag SciStarter, you can hashtag SciStarter ambassador, that'd be cool. We love that. And then hopefully you are planning something, whether that's a training or an event, a data collection event. Maybe you're collaborating with another ambassador, so that's absolutely available, possible, and acceptable is what I wanted to say, not available. That will count for both of you. That is each of your events. So and then making sure that during the events that you're hosting, or if you are doing something more passive, that you have a way to collect like how many points of engagement there are, whether that's attendance. We will also be distributing a survey post Citizen Science Month to ask you about some more of these qualitative things like notable moments during events, successes and challenges. And again, this all goes back to our evaluation around the ambassador program generally. And what we can be doing better, and what the challenges were as we hope to improve the program.
Marcia has a note in the
Yeah,
chat.
I was gonna say, are there display boards available to place in library schools to display monthly calendar suggest project for the month?
We don't have a design for one other than having like the graphics for a calendar. So if you wanted to develop one or use if some of you have actually made display boards in the past, so if any of you have like, here's the preference for what this library like to do, having examples of those would be great because we could put them on the Google Drive for viewing. I know Jim, oh my gosh, I'm so weirded out by your name being James on the Zoom. Jim has a bunch of examples, and so I don't know if you've ever put the calendar on there though. I know we had We had a poster
Yeah, I
connect
know
We
last
did
that.
a
time.
calendar at
Yeah.
last year's events, Eclipse events, but
Ooh. Are
Yeah.
there instructions for how to use how to count clicks during using a QR code? I don't know if
Emma,
I'm allowed to offer this up, but we can. If you want to contact me and give me a link, I can give you a Go link, a SciStarter link that'll count the clicks. You'll just have to remind me to grab data for you later.
I think we should offer that because
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
for some of these things, yeah. So if you, yeah, we'll send that in a post email instructions on if you are going to create something that has a QR code on it that links back to SciStarter, you should be using the Go link so that we can track that information. So yeah, we'll let you know that.
That's a great question. Yeah.
I got the old-fashioned way.
A little
Okay,
kind
yeah.
of. I love those. If any of you want to invest in one
Also,
of those.
approximate attendance counts are fine. Approximate, where you know.
Yeah. We're not expecting you to stand there and say, you're
No.
number 33.
This is Citizen Science Month is a campaign to show how we can increase public engagement. 1 million acts of science is really, we count them, but it's not an exact science, even though it is a citizen science.
Yeah. Some of science's
It's,
estimates.
it's to show that there is momentum around this movement.
Exactly. All right, so let's get to the more nitty-gritty. And before we actually talk about those independent items, we do want to know right now how you're feeling. What things are the most challenging for you at this point? I know we've talked about partners, so I assume that methods for or working with a community partner might be on the higher side of this, but I'll go ahead and add the QR code back for you once I figure out how. There we go. And then the Menti link. This is a ranking, so you can actually show which things are the most challenging. So ranking first would be the most challenging to fifth, I believe, being the least challenging. Yeah. From first to fifth, how do we feel about these things? And so to give you a little bit more of examples, like if you're like, I don't know what project to do, I'm not sure. Like in Kathy's case, it's like you have a project, you have an activity, but the project is difficult. That's a perfect example of that. Methods for engaging participants. If you do answer that one, I'd love to know a little bit more in the chat about this, like public speaking skills, having the right resources for that, what types of like interacting with certain types of like age groups. That one could be a lot, so it depends. And I have a future gift for you all that'll show up once I get around to it.
I don't even know what this is.
I talked to you at the South Dakota event, just recording myself doing a
Oh, right.
that'll hopefully help some of you.
Also, the facilitator slides have some example activities. Like there's one activity at the beginning of the foundation's training slides where it's like, you see a tree in your neighborhood. What do you notice like and having that sort of back and forth interaction with whoever you're talking to, and demonstrating that what they're doing is what they would be doing as citizen scientists. So there's some activities in that are definitely helpful. I think as much as you can model the actual data collection for the projects that you are promoting, that is the best method for engaging participants. So even if it's not actually going out and collecting that data, but modeling it in some way. I have in the past to model like the Great Sunflower Project and counting pollinators in presentations. I've like pulled up a video of a bee landing on a flower like on YouTube, and then asking people to count and complete the worksheet. So it's sort of going through the process. Obviously it wasn't the real thing, but it was not just talking about it. So as much as you can do something, the better.
Absolutely. And this is really exciting to see. Oh, you guys are really clear on, or at least most of you are more clear on the inclusion 1 million acts. So my next slides might be boring for a minute, for a moment. Yeah, so the one item that is going to appear for you at some point, which don't rely on this, is like, or it'll be available to you soon because way before April. However, we did a presentation this week. I was in South Dakota in Rapid City with Darlene, founder of SciStarter. We did presentations to a bunch of 7th grade girls from the schools in the area at a STEM conference. And so we recorded my talk. So I'll release a version of it that's shortened so you can have an idea of what a presentation looks like for, we did Instant Wild, the wildlife camera trap project. So you can have a little bit of a example there. It's only one type of example. Tara, that was a great example too. Different ways we can show you how to do these presentations will hopefully help, and we can start recording ourselves more often too. Okay, this is good to know. I'm going to come back to these things, but just to cut through some of these. For those of you who are already adding your events, amazing. Thank you for adding your events. They're awesome. They're coming through really quickly, and we're just like, whoa, this sounds great. Awesome. The one thing I'm going to note in here is that you need to make sure to add ambassador as a tag. So when you add your events, just make sure ambassador is on there because that allows it to be tagged to your profile. So when the event is approved, you'll see on your profile page on the directory, you'll have your face, your name, your location, your bio that you wrote and were approved for, and underneath that it'll say upcoming events and past events. And so people will be able to see what types of events you're in. That also allows us to track how people are proceeding with their like their requirements as ambassadors, so we can keep tabs on how we can help you. That's the
Yeah, so if you
main
go
thing
onto
here.
your directory profile and you've added an event, but you don't see it on your directory profile, that's because you didn't tag it correctly.
Yes.
That's a good way to
Or
see it.
your bio might not be public because some of you have not finished your bios.
Finish your bios. I bet all these people have, but
Yeah, probably. All of you on here probably. Yeah, Robin, what's up?
So on that note, I'm working with a bunch of different partners, organizations in my area. I volunteered to put all their events, which have been approved, on the events calendar, but I will not be involved in their specific events, but you still, I won't be present. It's their thing, but we're all part of this City Nature Challenge. So do you still want me to go back in and tag ambassador on those events?
If you are not a part of the planning or the facilitating of the event, you can skip it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
probably better.
yeah,
Okay.
I think if you're helping them add it, I think that's amazing and great, but I would agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And their contact information should be the ones on there so that we can make sure that we can contact
Exactly.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Great
Okay.
question.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that was the main thing on here. This is all in the handbook as well. So if you need assistance with adding an event, you can do that through the handbook as well or email us. Now, regarding, oh, and thank you, Kirsten. Pretty simple to post my event. Awesome. I'm glad you had an easy time of it. There are options on, this is kind of ties on a couple of things, a resource and also a version of an event. If any of you were thinking about doing some form of talk where a subject matter expert, either yourself about a topic or you want a subject matter expert to talk to an audience about something, there are a few project leaders who I've asked a group of them, hey, are you available to do talks with folks if they ask for your help with facilitating an event? And so we do have a group of facilitators or project leaders who are able to speak virtually or even in person, depending on where you are. And so you can ask them to do Q&A sessions. They can do a project demo for you. Whatever you want to do, you just need to contact them. I'm not going to spend much time on this slide, but here's the list of the ones that were like the most responsive. If you reach out to a project leader, they might get back to you too. If you need help doing that, you can always email us. And if we know them personally, we will make sure to get you in contact. We can also warn you if we think that this person will not respond to you. Because
We'll
sometimes
send you
we
the
know that
slide
these
deck.
scientists are bored or no, very are very busy. Why did my brain go to boring? Ugh. They're not boring. They're amazing, which is why they're busy.
Stereotype, Emma, that we need to dismantle. Okay, scientists are actually really weird and quirky.
They are
and
so weird.
They're
I
so
love
weird.
them.
Come on, they're least boring people, honestly.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, did anyone go to my slime event, the live event? That scientist was like worried about his public speaking skills about science. I was like, this was the most entertaining conversation I've had in a while. So yes, they're weird and amazing. So here's a bunch of them who are willing to talk to you so far, but you can also reach out to others. These slides will be available to you later. So don't worry about memorizing anything. Tara, you already mentioned this, but just a note also about the logging data. Do you want to cover that?
Yeah, so we have two. Okay, I apologize in advance for the multiple ways that we are asking you to collect data this year. It's kind of haphazard because there's, I don't know, sorry about that.
Evaluation.
Yeah, I know.
New
There's like
projects.
different projects require different evaluation. Okay. The first thing is that we have an ambassador activity log. So if you've already hosted an event, Emma, can you put that link in the chat? If you've already done something, an event, program, even helped another organization, create a social media post, whatever you've done as an ambassador, log it so that we can keep track of that. And that's a really simple Google form. We also will ask you to report all of your acts of science, which are very specific to the 1 Million Acts of Science campaign. And then post April, you'll receive sort of a larger survey looking back not just on Citizen Science Month, but your experience as an ambassador over the last 6 months or however long the program, depending on when your cohort was. And that's really to look at like overall impacts of the program so that we can report that back to the Institute for Museum Library Services, who has funded this program. So that'll come in May. We'll send you all of that information, but the data, that activity log is really for us to just keep track of things as they're happening.
Awesome. All right, moving on. Okay, so if you have not looked at citizensciencemonth.org recently, it's undergone a bit of a facelift. And so I'm going to show you that page. Woohoo!
By
So
the way, Emma,
also-
we only have 3 minutes, just so you know, but
heck, okay, I might skip this. Look at this page when you get a chance. There's 3 tabs you should look at.
I was
Home.
gonna say, I don't know if we have time for a full tour, but
There's home, there's participate, and there's event resources. Report X might actually not be available to you yet. If you see it, it's also kind of you shouldn't be able to access that for until April 1st. So participate is probably the most important, but if you're trying to get someone to figure out what Citizen Science Month is, sending them here is great because it tells them, here's what you do: participate, report, share. Here's some options on how to participate, and then who are our people who are doing this work. Participate is going to be your best friend during the month if you want to do active engagement and change things up as time moves on. Because it gives you a quick link to report your acts, but there's also going to be projects that are featured on a daily basis. There'll be specific projects. These ones are pre-April featured, and there will be more soon. If you would like to give me a review of a project, if it's like 2 lines of text, so it has to be a really short quote. But if you want to review a project, let me know because then I can add it on here too.
Kelly's
The
not on the
events-
call, but thank you, Kelly, for
Oh yeah, because we did have one. Yeah, and there's probably more of you actually. I know Jim, you have one that I need to add in. And so on the
if you
Facebook
really
chat-
love a project and you want someone to know about it, email us and say, this is my favorite project and this is why.
Yes, exactly. As a volunteer too. It's not as a
Right,
facilitator.
not as an ambassador, something
Yeah.
that you've done.
Yeah. Looks like I have to email Daniel. This has all the events, but right now they're invisible. So moving on. Under event resources, that has not changed, but just be aware that you should absolutely take advantage of that. Promote. A lot of you mentioned promotion being an issue. Please, please, please look at our media toolkit. If it's a problem of like how to promote, we've given you versions of captions for social media posts, and we have pictures for you to use. I'm also obsessed with Canva. If you need assistance and like brainstorming what to have, I can help you using our Canva knowledge.
Also, if you're making something like a poster and you're like, well, this graphic doesn't exist, but I want it. Like if it's something that we've used, like a logo or something image, just email us and
yeah. We're figuring out how to make sure everything's available to you, but that's not a smooth process all the time. So hopefully we can get that going for you. All right, so make sure to check out the website so that you know what's happening and the updates. You also have all those resources on the Ambassador resource page. So if you were to run over to Ambassador, where is it? Oh, wait, let's go back to
it
home.
doesn't have a
It's because of this is our problem, Tara. We have to fix this. We're working with WordPress now, in case anyone is curious. And so we have to make sure it matches things, and we're working on it. So your resources page here, Ambassador Desk Resources, also has those quick links to the drive. And so you can make sure you can find everything you need there. If something's missing, several of you actually, not a bunch of you, 2 of you mentioned that something was listed as 2024 earlier today. And that was super duper helpful. So if you do notice something needing to be updated, feel free to let us know because I
please
fixed that
be our
in an
eyes
hour.
and our eyes on the ground on this website that we have so many resources. We sometimes forget to update them, but we can do it quickly if we know it needs to be updated. Like the kits sometimes have broken links, the kit building guides, because they're Amazon, that we link them to Amazon or whatever, and they sell out. So if you notice that something's a broken link or missing, just shoot us an email and we will update that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, tons of resources. I won't spend too much time, but I did want to mention, some of you mentioned Fathomverse as the projects you're excited for. We have a recipe card for you if you'd like to look into it. If you're concerned on what project to choose, There's an online project through a barn, or it's a barn out in Connecticut that has a colony of bats, and they created a ton of resources for facilitators. Not only an event recipe card, but they also developed a slide deck that I actually used during our live event. A lot of it was from our live event that we did through SciStarter Live, and they made a facilitator guide so you can know exactly what to do. And so if you want to make use of that, it's under the event recipe cards list. You'll see an entire folder for that. And I love that team. And oh, thanks, Darren. Thanks for sharing all those awesome things. And so all of that is to say there are next steps. And for the next 15 minutes, if you all want to stick around beyond the 45 minutes, we do have like if you want to share more about your work and what you're excited for and what ideas you have to share with the group, we're ready to listen to them and help you figure out what's going on. These are the next steps if you're looking for like a concise way to think about what's next for you, which is make sure it's registered on SciStarter and make sure it's tagged with ambassador, and that it is a citizen science program. We vet them before they're approved, and so if you don't mention what the citizen science project is, we won't approve them. We'll contact you first. Also promoting, so making sure you're ready to do that promotion, whether it be emailing us about, I don't know what to do, I need a flyer. And then we're like, we got you. Assuming that's not every single person asking that same question. And so we will help you out and do that. And we've made templates for you for social media and whatnot.
Good question, Erin.
I have an answer potentially. Erin, can you tell
Okay.
me when did you add this event? Okay. Sometimes there is a delay, so it might take like 24 hours or so. So like my events won't pop up immediately. It also
Even
might
if
be
they're
that,
approved?
yeah, that's after they're approved. So it might
Oh,
take a
okay.
few hours before we see them, we approve them, and then 24 hours later it shows up on the database. So you're looking at the finder, or sorry, not the finder, the event finder. So if you click events in the top corner on
Which is
scistarter.org.
even more of a reason to get your events in early so that they can be
Yeah.
approved and whatever lag time
Yeah.
doesn't
Also,
affect it being promoted.
on
Yeah.
your dashboard, you can make sure that it actually got saved too. So if you go to your dashboard, you can see the events that you've created, so you can double check that it exists. I know there were a couple of saving issues for some folks, especially with the bios. And so who knows, there might be something else going on that we need to be aware of. But hopefully not. But you can double check that it was actually submitted to. Reporting exercise science, activity log, survey that you don't need to worry about until May. Okay, I'll hold off on that. Okay. Y'all had great questions. If anyone wants to unmute or add more questions into the conversation, you're welcome to. I know
Hello.
this is quick. Hi, Michael. Was that you?
Yes, that's me. I have a
Hey there.
question. A library would like to know if you have any science kits still available that a library could get.
So we don't sell kit. We don't have any kits that we sell. We built these build-a-kit guides or like created guides that help people build kits from scratch, DIY. So it would be up to the library to find funding for those materials. But then if they have funding, it's really easy to pull the kit together by using those kit building guides, and you just go down the list and order everything and then, compile it.
Excuse me. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Sure thing. Awesome. Okay. Okay. I had a couple of questions if anyone did want to talk about them to make sure that we are feeling supported and feeling like we can share what our thoughts are at the time. So if you have your thoughts on what your program is going to look like, I know we've done some sharing of that, but feel free to add more in the chat about this. If you have ideas about promotion, it sounds like a lot of people would like more thoughts on that. So I'd love to hear from some of you if you want to unmute and tell us what maybe the problem is, like what ideas you have that you're not sure how to get to, or ideas that you already are going to put into action. And then the last one, and I'll go back, is what you're going to do next. We gave you next steps, so maybe you want to tell us what your actual next step is. Because maybe that'll actually put it into more formal place in your brain of what you're going to do next. And I'm actually going to hit the stop button on our recording too, because that was all the content. So we can talk to you all without being recorded. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.